employee creation, new terminal, ng generate component, new employee. Okay. Now we have to first design the UI. Everyone is aware about Bolt AI, bolt.new. It's a tool which will logged in over here. Let me check another. It's a tool which will help you to create a UI, okay, which will take certain amount of time, but this UI will get you that UI developed within, let's say, 1 or 1.5 minute. Okay. So see, now if we check our employee object, this is our employee object. Employee ID is our primary key, correct? What are the foreign key we have over here? What are the foreign keys?
Department ID and designation.
Right? Department ID and the designation. Whenever you see Swagger and you see default value at 0, so either it will be a primary key or the, what do we say, foreign key. But it's not like that always. Let's say roll number is there, but that is also integer field, na? So default value might be 0. So you have to check it properly. If it is the in the name you have ID, means it is a foreign key. Okay. So employee ID is our primary key, department ID and the designation ID is our foreign key. Okay. Now I need to create a UI for this object. So what I do, I copy this, I paste it over here. This is their prompt. Then I need to say like, I need a CRUD or just a create form. Create form for this JS employee object. I need a create form for this employee object. Now we have to specify the technology. Use Bootstrap. Let's say we need the icons also. Let's say text box is there. Before that text box, we can have that icon also now. Let's say we need the icon also. You can specify that. Use font awesome. We have installed 4.71 or we didn't install, no, I think. Let's use font awesome and the latest whatever version we have that it will use font awesome icons. Now in this field, this designation and the department, these are going to be our drop down. Department ID, everything you see whenever you are interacting with the AI tool now, you have to specify everything, all possible scenarios you have to explain. Then only it will provide you the proper answer. After that, where is that city name? Yeah. So state name and the city name, these two fields are what do we say, string. But here also we need to manage the dependent drop down. Means we will create an array of state name and the array of city name. Okay. So this also I need it as a drop down. State name, city name will be drop down. Now the problem with Bolt AI is it will, if you just specify this, what it will does, it will create a React project. By default, their technology is React. So we have to specify like I don't need the React project. I just need pure HTML project. Okay. I need pure HTML page, not React JS project. Then it will provide you the normal HTML page. Okay. Let's see. Till then, we have to install the font awesome. Or let's we Bootstrap we had installed. Okay, font awesome we have also installed 4.7. Now it will use the latest version. We didn't specify the version of font awesome, so it will use the latest version. Okay, so see, it started creating the UI. Let it complete. Till then, we will create our route. So we created our new employee component. Now, employee form is going to be in the another component. So this same component we will use for add and edit also. Okay. I think in that CRUD session we have discussed. Whenever you have a component for add and the edit, means you have a separate component for form, you can use the same component for add and the edit also. You don't want another component for edit. Same component which you are using for add, that component you will use it for edit also. So what will be our route? Normal route or parameterized route? I said the same component I'm going to use for add also and in case of update also. So my parameter will be same component, means with parameter or without parameter.
No, no, it should be with parameter, right?
See na, what I'm saying, this component I'm going to use in case of new employee also. Okay. And when I edit, I'm going to navigate with the ID na. I need to show that record also. So we need this parameter as, or let's go with the normal, then you will understand properly. New employee. Okay. See, we didn't ask him to create the validation, but by default it has provided validation in the JS. Dropdown.js also it has provided. See, dependent to. See, department data it has created ID 1. Now if you check designation, okay, it didn't create it that like, but at least array it has created. Okay. Now we need the HTML page index. So you can copy from over here. Body. Now this code will go into our employee component. Why it needs the model? Okay. ng generate, sorry, ngs. So see the UI you got it. Okay. Let's say if we have to design this UI, it would have taken at least 10 to 15 minutes to design all this UI. But with the AI tool, we are able to design it very quick. Localhost 4200. What is the password? So string. Okay. We didn't add the navigation layout. So first navigation we are adding. Okay. Now uh, we have already explained the routing, right? If you have to navigate from this anchor tag, so what do we need to add it over here? Router link. Before using router link, you need to import it also. Okay. Whatever you use in Angular 19 in the standalone specifically, whatever you use, you need to import it, then only you can use it. Okay. Router link. Then you can use it. Is equal to your route name. Your route name is new hyphen employee. Okay. See, you got the form. Okay. Now just icons are not coming because he might have used, where is that? Fast means it has used the latest font awesome. Latest font awesome is with fast and the previous one was with fa. So we will replace that fast with fa. Let's try if the icon come or not. Yeah. See, some came, some didn't came. No, almost came. Okay. So see, this is your employee registration form. Okay. Whatever the field we said, right? According to those field, it has created the UI. Okay. Now, so we have full name, email address, mobile, everything is there. department designation, state and the city, choose file name and this. Okay. Now, as I said, in this form, we have department ID and the designation ID. These are foreign keys. Whenever in your post object, you have some foreign keys now. So that data you are supposed to get from another API. Okay. So here department ID is there. So we have to show the department drop down. Here we have to show the designation drop. Again, these are dependent. Once you select the department, then related designation should come. So you have the API for that also. If you scroll down, you have the master API. Okay. Here you can see department API. If you try it out, see, this is a department API. Let's say department ID is 1. Okay. And if we want to check the designation on department ID 1, that is this API, get designation by department ID. Here you need to send the designation ID, department ID. Okay, we have empty. Let's say 2. For what do we have? Check this. This this gate API is responsible to show all the designation. Okay. The bottom one was to filter it. Okay, so for department ID 4 we have. Let's try 4. See. Okay. So this API is responsible to get the particular department ID designation. Okay. And this API is responsible to get all the designations. See, it doesn't have any parameter. So all the designation it will return. Understood? Now, so on the page load, now we have two API call. Get department and get designation by department ID. So which API call we have to integrate on the page load?
Depart.
Department only, right? Because on the
Depart.
page load, you will only show the department. Once you change of it, then you will have to show this, right? Now, so can we use async pipe over here or normal subscribe we have to do? Can we use async pipe to store the data over here? Why async?
Automatically unsubscribe
No, not that's not the only
we will
reason
use
we
only
should be
one time, right?
right? See, async pipe we don't use just because we don't have to unsubscribe. Okay, let's say you have created a variable, your department array, and that variable you are binding only into the HTML. You're not using it any more time. So you have to go for the async pipe. But let's say you have created array of department and again in your .ts you are going to use that array to filter out or something. Then you cannot go for async again because you need that variable data na, in your .ts.
Single use only, like
Single use. Okay. Means that variable you are going to use, you have created variable and you are going to use it over here only once. So you should not go for a normal variable. You can create async pipe. Okay. Now, so in core, we have service. So user service we had created just like that. We should create one more service or same API, same service we can use for everything. Can we use same service for everything or do we have to create multiple
No.
services?
multiple.
Multiple. Sir.
It's not like that. You can create a single service also for everything. Okay. By standard, if we say the standard, in one service file, you can have maximum 4,000 number of line. Or in some project, they set it as 3,000. So you can use a single service, but again, it will be little bit hard to manage, right? So we should separate everything. That's the reason we create more services. Okay. Now, this is master, right? So let's create a master service. Now, in our master service, again private http client get departments. Okay, return this dot http
In the
dot.
service file, that inject is not working, like inject method.
It will work. It's not like that only
But we
limited to
prefer-
component. Everywhere
but
same thing work.
We prefer the constructor, like
No. It's not like that. Constructor we got it by default. No, that's why I use that. Okay. When you create service by default, you get it. Na, in component we don't get it. Okay. That's the reason. You can use the inject method also or the constructor also. Both are same thing. http.get and your URL.
We don't prefer the base URL thing like
Without
you are not the base API URL in like which we use in like the part industrial like
let me explain first, okay?
okay.
So get department, and this is our API. Whatever the data we are going to get, that we are supposed to return. Okay. Now this is the model which we are going. This is the kind of array of object we are going to get. So we should create an interface or a class of it. What we should create? We can create two things,
Interface.
either interface or the class. So what we should create over
Interface.
here? Why interface?
Because we don't have to initiate the values.
Right? See, we can create class or interface. Class you will create whenever you are going to use that object in a form, because you need to initialize it. But let's say you are going to provide that interface just for the data type of array. So array you don't have to initialize. Okay. So that's why whenever you are going to store array type of data, you can go for the interface. Okay. So in model master.model.ts. Okay. Now here export interface your department. Now this is an interface. So whenever you create an interface, you should start or prefix the interface name with I. Okay. Now these are the properties we have. Department ID is going to be, what will be the data type?
Number.
Numbers, na?
Number.
Okay. And this will be string. So we have created our interface. Now if you check the API response, directly we are getting the array of it. So in your function, what you will write it over here? Observable. What you will write it over here? What type of data you are going to return from this
I
function?
department
Array
Right?
of
I
departments.
department
area type.
square bracket, right? Because array of object you are going to return. Okay. Same thing will go over here also. Okay. This is your API call function.
Sir, I have a question over here.
Let me complete first. Okay. Wait. So this is your API call. Normally, if you don't provide the return type, then also it is fine. But to make your code more readable, you have to provide your proper return type also. Whenever you are appearing for the machine test, also make sure you do this, because this will identify like you know the concept. Everyone is going to do the API call, but some of it only going to handle it properly. Right? So in interview, obviously, so many candidates are going to do the same thing what you are going to do. So you need to look apart, right? So manage everything properly. Now, so in master service, we have created one API call function. Now this API call function we need to call on the component, but in a async pipe. So pages, new employee over here. Now here you have to create an observable. Let's say department list dollar. Whenever you create observable type of data, either it is subject, behavior subject, or normal observable also, you can add dollar at the end. Okay. Colon observable. What type of data you are going to get? I department array. New observable. Okay. We have created an observable. Now in constructor, we will initialize the value. Our department master service. Inject master service. Okay. We created service, that service we have injected over here. Now in constructor, this department list object variable is equal to this dot master service dot get department. Do we have to subscribe over here?
Sir.
Right? So we just have to assign the data, whatever the object we are going to get, observable type of data over here. Now we are going to use a sync pipe. So let's import it also. async pipe. Now this observable I can directly use in my HTML on the department dropdown. At the rate for in Angular 20 ng for is going to deprecate. Okay, so make sure you are not using ng for that much. You have to use it also, but you don't use that much. Okay, try get familiar with async pipe. Sorry, control flow statement. Now we need option over here. Value, property binding, item dot department ID we have to bind, and we have to show the department name dot name. Okay, let's save all and let's check. Let's reload. Okay, so see on the page load we have the API call, and if you see over here we got the drop down. Okay, first API call was success. Now once we change the drop down, then we have to trigger the API call. Okay, first, but before that, first because we didn't create any object, we are going to use reactive form because I need to explain another scenarios also. So now I need to create the reactive form. Okay, again I will be using ChatGPT now for creation of the basic form. I'm using it, but you don't have to use it. Okay, just to save the time I'm using this. So this is my form. Okay, I need the reactive form. For this object, create reactive form using now reactive form, and reactive form can be created by two ways. What are those? Reactive form can be created by two ways.
Builder or
Form group and
builder.
form builder. Okay, so we will ask him to create by using form group, then I will convert it by using what is that, form builder. Okay, using form group.
So there is a third type, untype form group. What's that?
That is just a data type. That's not the way to create it. That is just a data type. Okay, this is our employee form. Then an ng on init. Okay, so whenever you initialize your form, make sure you wrap it up in a different function, because that same function we have to use in case of edit also, when we have to initialize with the values. Okay, form. Why it has used FB? I have said it for form group, but it has given by form builder only. Okay, let's do it. Let's add the import. Okay, so if we check the normal form was like that, let's say employee form, this dot employee form is equal to new form group, round bracket, curly bracket, enter, then your control name, colon, new form control, right? And we initialize the value over here. Then validators dot required, right? Like this we used to create a reactive form. Understood everyone? Like this we used to create by using form group. Okay, now in reactive form either we can initialize our form like this, or we can make use of the form builder service also. Both things are same, it's just a different syntax. Okay, form group is a class and this is a service, no difference as such. Okay, this just the syntactical difference is there. So this is by using new form group, and second is by using form builder. So we have to create an instance of our form builder. Then this form we are initializing. So this form is equal to new form builder dot group. We are just grouping the control. Here you don't have to specify new control. By default, it knows the new control. Okay. Now, so employee ID first directly array. First parameter will be your initialization value. Okay. And second, after that, you can pass your multiple array. Either if you have a single validation, you can pass like this. If you have a multiple validation, you can pass like this. Understood? See, it has for mobile number, it has added that number only pattern also. Clear, everyone? No difference. Okay, whatever we used to write it over here, new form control. Here you can directly initialize the value. No need to write the new form control in case of form builder. Otherwise, it is going to do the same thing. Just there are two ways to create the reactive form. This is one
So,
way. This is another way.
so the best practice is to
Not
initialize.
Ajay, nothing like that. No best practice. Both are same. Okay.
No, my question is,
Hmm.
you just created the variable first, right? You are not initializing at 90 number line.
Hmm.
We have to do.
In case of reactive form, we do like this. Normal variable, we can initialize the value also. Understood? In case of reactive form, what you will initialize over here, na? Empty form, you don't have to initialize. So that's why we are not initializing it over here. We have just declared it. But if you have
Mm,
created normal variable, you have to do the initialization plus variable also you can do. Okay?
So I see one example where you created a new home group right now, no? Like
Yeah. You
new
can initialize
inside
over here also.
inside that they are creating the control,
That's
and
what
that
I'm saying
control
now.
they are okay.
See, if you do this thing over here, okay, this is how you do. You created the variable also, and here only you have initialized. But let's say in case of edit, again you will reinitialize the same form. Code will repeat, na? That's why we are moving that code in a separate function. So we won't have two initialization of the form, one over here and one in case of edit. Understood?
mhm.
Okay. Now, so now this form we need to bind it to our reactive form also. Okay. So employee form tag, square bracket, form group. It's not suggesting. Okay, forms model, reactive form model, we didn't add it. Okay, now I will bind the important thing, whatever we are doing, only I'm binding that only. So here, form controller name is equal to your control name is department ID. Okay, so now here if you see by default value you have initialized 0. Okay, now see what happens. And here you have this placeholder option which is having value empty. So will this get selected? Here you have initial value 0, and here you have an option which will act as a placeholder and value is empty. So will this option get selected?
No.
No, na. How it will get initialized? See, nothing is there. Why API call is not there? Something error is there. Cannot read form group except form instance. Okay.
You are not calling the
We
function.
didn't call this function, so by default our form is undefined. Okay. See that this is my kind of a placeholder. No, this should get selected, but it is not currently. Nothing is there because your initialized value for this control is 0, and here you have value as empty. So it won't get selected. If you provide a 0 over here, then it will get selected. See, understood? Okay. It's not this selected, if we pass the selected, doesn't make, it won't select it. Whatever the value you have, that initial value you should have it over here, either 0 or empty, whatever. But we should not give 0 because 0 will be considered as a value. Correct, no? 0 will considered as a value, or on a, in case of validation, we have to show the validation. But if you provide a 0, it will consider it as a value, na? Or no?
Yeah.
Right? So that's why either you know that it is a integer value, but every time you have to initialize with empty, because empty will be not a value, but 0 will consider it as a value. Okay. Now, so on the page load, we are going to get the data. That data is getting over here. On change of this drop down, we need to call another API to get designation of that particular department. So what we can do, we can write a normal change event also. Okay. This also you can write, and you will have another function, and there you will call it. Okay. But since we are using reactive form, so we can write a control, we can write a event on this control value change. Okay. We are using reactive form. So if this control value get changed, then we can write the function. Okay. Now, before that, now first, let me explain another topic, that is our environment folder. Now see, if you check the user service and the master service, here also this API is getting repeated. This part, here also it is there, and here also it is there, up till over here. Correct? Your controller name is going to be different. In case of master, it is master. In case of user, it is employee. Right? So what is the common part over here?
Still
Up till over
empty.
here, na? This is
Yeah,
your common part. So where should we keep it? Now we cannot keep it in a service also, because this is one service, again this is one service. So this will be, if you create a variable over, this is also here, and this is also, again it is repeating. So where we should keep it?
.ts file.
See, first of all, we can keep this in your constant file also. But this is environment related thing. Whenever we work on a project, you have multiple environment, dev environment, QA environment, UAT environment, and production environment. For all the different environment, you have different APIs. So this is environment related thing. So we can put this in an environment constant. Okay. Now, so up to Angular 15 now, we used to directly get the environment folder by default available. But now we have to install it. Okay. So let's open a new terminal. On the project level, you need to run that command. ng generate environment. envo environments. Spelling correct now? What's the spelling?
I also need to
Environments. Okay. So make sure you add S. That's the command to create the environment folder. Okay. Enter. ng generate directly environments. So see what it has done. It has created environment.ts, environment.development.ts, and it has updated angular.json as well. Okay. See, here is an intro question. They will ask you, like, we have environment folder, but how does it relate that, right? That this is my environment folder. So we have an entry we have an entry in angular.json also. If you show that, see, file replacement. Okay. Now, so we have created our environment folder. If you check the environment folder, what do we have? What type of data we have it in the environment folder? Constant file. Okay. It's a constant file. Now here you need your API part. API URL. Okay. Currently we don't have different environments. So same URL will be there. So this is your common URL up till API. So this common URL, you will put it over here. Here also, and same name, with the same name, you have to put it into your environment also. So environment.development.ts. So this is like when you run your application locally, this environment file will be treated. When you build and deploy your application on the server, this environment file will be treated. So here your production or dev something URL will be there. Here your local API will be there. Okay. As I said, according to the different environment, we have different APIs also. URL is also different. So different environment related things, we put it over here. Okay. Now, so our common URL is over here in the environment folder. Now, in our service, here instead of this URL, it should come from your environment, right? So what I can do, I will create a variable over here. API URL delta external string is equal to environments dot API URL. Okay. And now this URL, this variable, I have to use it over here. So this dot API URL plus. Now here we don't need it. We put it the slash over there. Huh? Yeah, up till slash over there. So here also we don't need it. Understood? So now your service, in your service, URL is going to come from your environment folder. Understood? We just moved that URL from over, instead of writing over here, we moved that over there. User service also, you'll do the same thing. Dot API URL. Okay. Now here, what do we call this? What is this? Selected one.
URL.
No.
between,
What do we have? What we have done it over here?
Base
Concatenation. You have one variable and another with the plus. This is concatenation. Instead of this, what we can do? Instead of
template
concatenation,
template variable something template.
not something, Abhishek, template literal. Okay.
Literal, yes.
So here this dot, now everything you have to wrap it up. Dollar curly bracket this dot your API URL slash then this one over here. Okay. This was with your concatenation and this is with your template literal. Okay. Make sure you start using this only. You should not use that your normal way of concatenation. Always you have to go for template literal only. Okay. Now, this URL means our method name and your controller name and the method name. Over here also your controller name and the method name. This should come, this is static, right? Or is it dynamic? Static. So where we should keep it? Where we should keep it?
Constant folder.
Constant file now. We have seen the constant, right? As I said, we should not do hard code value anywhere. It should come from our constant file. Okay. So we have created our constant file. So now in constant file, I will create one more constant export API method.
ये तो एक एक बार यूज हो रहा है ना तो क्या दिक्कत है इसमें?
Guys, be on mute. Okay. So in my constant file, again, I'm creating extra constant for the API method. Now in API method, if you check the Swagger, see in dashboard, we have 3 API call. In employee, we have so many API call. In file upload, we have one. In master, again, we have so many API call. So if you see this structure, the same structure we can create in a constant also. How we will create that same structure? What I can do, let's say login Here I can put my login method, like employee slash login, like this. Then what was that? Get department, and that was this one. I can do the like this, right? Instead of like this, what else we can do? Hmm? This is also correct. But instead of this, what else we can do?
Get a separate constant.
No, I want the same constant
Login
because it is for API method, right? I don't want to create another constant. In this same constant, what else we can do? This is also correct. Okay, but something else also we can do. What's that?
So this
Nest nested object.
Right? Nested object we can create. Now see over here. We created validation inside that. Just like that, we can create employee. Let's make it capital. And this we can move it inside this. Okay. Then master. Over here you can move it. Getting it? This is the right way. So that here in user service, what's the constant name? API method constant. Okay. This we have to use it over here. Again, curly braces, API constant method. Let's add the import of it. Dot. What is this? Login. So login is in employee slash. Now this reads. This is more readable. Understood? This is readable, right? Just like over here. API constant method dot master dot get department, like this. Understood? So your method name, API method name, controller name, actual API name, everything should come from your constant. Okay. Your API URL, common API URL will go to your environment folder, and then your method name, controller name will go to your constant. And that you should use into your service. Clear? Doesn't matter the project. If let's say company is very small, so they won't create environment folder. But let's say if a company is at least a proper company, I'm talking when I say small, let's say 10, 15 employees are there, very small. So they might not use environment folder, but everyone will use environment folder to keep your API call. Common API, common things which are related to your environment, that you will keep it over here. Okay. Understood this?
Yes.
Okay. Now, so in master service, we need one more function, that is get designation by department ID. Okay. This function we need a parameter, department ID, data type, number, and here you have to make an API call. Again, one more API call is going to be there, right? Let's add the return type. Now here instead of department, it will be designation, right? So let's quickly create interface of designation also. So this type of data we are going to get. Again, you have to go to your model, master model.ts. Okay, here double quote is mandatory, or can we write directly also?
directly also.
Directly also we can write, but just above I just copy pasted and I didn't remove it. That's why. Okay, double quote is not required. Number and string. Fine. Now from this function, we are going to return array of I. Oh, we didn't change I designation. And this we will return it over here. Now again in the constant we need to create one more thing. So that will go into the master. Get designation by ID. Okay. Here your URL will go. So URL will be like this. So up till equal to you will put it over here. And ID you will bind it in your service. Okay. Now over here, second method you will use. And after that, you need to bind the ID. So that will be department ID will go over here. So your complete URL. See, your URL is coming from your environment folder. Method name is coming from your constant and ID you are binding over here. This will create whole this URL like this. Understood? Clear now?
Yes.
Okay. Now this function we need to call whenever department dropdown get changed. Okay. So since we are dealing with the reactive form, we can make use of the form value changes. Means the control value change, then we can subscribe to that change event. Okay. Let's close. Now, so here we created our form. Okay. This function we have called in the constructor. So once the form is initialized, after that, this dot your employee form dot control. In employee form, we have so many control. If you see this, what type of data type you think of this? If you see this reactive form, what type of data? Does it look like an object? It looks like an object, right? Key value pair data,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
So control, this dot employee file control, you will get all the control. From that control, which control you are looking? So square bracket, single quote, and your control name. That is department ID. So if department ID value get changed, you have to write a code on that. So dot value changes. What type of data return we get from value changes?
Observable.
Observable. So if it is something returning observable, what we can do?
Subscribe.
We can subscribe to it.
Right.
So dot subscribe. And value changes is not a function, it's a property. So it's not required that every time only function will return observable type of data. Your property also can return observable type of data. Okay. So subscribe round bracket department ID colon number. Okay. Let's add a debugger and let me show you that first. See now, once I change it, it's not reloaded. Okay. Once I change it, why I'm not getting debugger? Code is also not there. We saved, right? Let's save it one more time. Okay, now there is a code. If I change it, see, we got our subscribe executed and here you got the department ID 6. If I change software developer, again it got executed 4. Understood? Understood now? So we are actually writing the change event on the control itself. Whenever the control value get changed, this subscribe will execute. Understood?
Yes.
So instead of writing that change event in the HTML, then calling a function, you can do like this also. Okay. Now here, what do we need to do over here? What we need to do over here?
Only next API code. Like,
Next
But
API call we
Chetak,
need to guide, right?
will it pass only the value?
Yeah,
Will
only
that
selected
change?
value. Value changes.
Okay.
See, what is it? Value changes. So what you will get? Value only. Okay. Now we have to create one more API call function. Get designation by department. And in this function, we will write our API call. Now here I have to create a variable, normal variable, because this is going to be get called multiple time on change of drop down, right? So here I cannot go for async. I can go for async also, but again, we have to use one or two more operators. That's why I'm not going over there. Okay, so normal designation list colon, what type of data I'm going to get? I designation array, empty array. Fine. Now this dot your, what is that, master service dot this function, and here we have to call that function. So here we will pass a parameter id colon number, and this id whatever you get, you will pass it over here. Dot subscribe round bracket result I designation array. Okay, and here whatever the response you get, that you will store it over in the designation list. Okay, we created one more function for this particular API, and now this function we need to call in the subscribe, and here we will pass this department ID. Understood? We could have written this function over here also. Is it possible? Na? Instead of creating this function, we could have written this API call over here also. Correct? But again, we need to keep everything separate. We should not write everything in your constructor. Okay? Now this code also, this subscribe code, we have written it into our constructor. Instead of writing this over here, where else could have written this?
Engine submit item.
Huh? Engine submit. See, your form is getting initialized over here.
Outside the constructor.
After this also, na?
Yes.
No. When your form is properly initialized, then only you can do the subscribe, na? So instead of writing it over here, you can put your subscription over here also. One and the same thing, na? You write it this in the constructor after your form initialize, or here also you can keep it. So now your constructor is more readable. Okay. Fine. Now this designation list, we need to bind it to our designation dropdown. Similar like this. Designation list. It will go over here. Now here we don't need the async pipe because we are directly going to get the array. Designation ID you need to bind, and name property we will show it over here. Let's see now. Okay, so on the page load, we just have one API call. Arun, who is that? Be on mute, guys. Okay, so on the page load, we just have one API call to load the department. Once I change it, then I will have department ID 4, and then I will have one more API call. See, for department ID 4, we just have one designation, that is React.js, so it came. If I change to finance, again my API call is getting triggered. See, now whatever the value you select over here, your drop downs are changing like that. So this is your dependent drop down. Clear? Understood?
Yes.
Okay. So this is how you write your dependent drop down code value changes. What was that? And one more thing was there, na? Now if you check our form object, here we have marital status string. If user select marital status as married, then only spouse name should be visible. Here marital status is there, right? If he select married, then only we have to show the spouse name.
Yeah.
Correct or no? Okay.
Yes.
It is not added in the form. Yeah, it is there. It is just hidden. Okay. Let me remove this. See, if I select this married, then only I need to show this. Correct? Okay.
Yes.
Now, this spouse name visibility is dependent on this particular drop down. So how we can do that? First we need to bind it. Our form controller name is equal to
Form array.
what form array? It's a simple field, right? When do we use form array?
We need to add control like dynamic control.
Dynamic control, right? But no, form array we use it or a dynamic control, but for multiple. Okay, this is not dynamic. No, this is dynamic, but we are just hiding and showing. This control is not getting added dynamically, right? Control we have already created, na? This
Yes.
already we created, na? So is this dynamic?
No.
Right? We are just hiding and showing. Okay. Now,
If value is married, so after that we need to show that
right? With this whole row, we need to show it. So what code you have to write? How you will do this? How you will write this code?
If condition then
But what you will write it over there in if condition?
we need to create a variable for select box like
Hmm.
marital status.
Hmm.
Yeah,
But
and then
why you will create variable? You have binded form controller name over here, na? Why you will again create one more variable?
no. Yeah, so we have bind that here. So we need to create a condition. If marital status equal to married,
What
then
directly this? Like this?
controls.
we need to use model
Here is
engine
model.
Control you can use.
See,
Form
we
dot
are
control.
working with reactive form, right? So your form name dot control, then MySQL dot value. Like that you will do, na? And getting it or no? We are not working with template form, right?
Yes, right.
Right?
Yeah.
So this is in your form. So your employee form dot control your bracket. What will your control name? Marital status. What you need? Value you need. So dot value is equal to, if it is married, then only we need to show the spouse name. Understood? From your form, for this control, what's the value? If it is married, then only we need to show this. See now. By default, it is not visible because it is empty. If I select single, not visible. If I select married, it get visible. Again, if I select something else, again it is hidden. Understood? Clear or no?
Yes, sir, clear.
Okay. But we don't directly do like this. It is working also. But instead of doing like this, we should create a get method of reading this particular form control value.
Control.
Okay, this is also possible. This is also good also. But as a good programming practice, we should not do this. But why? Because let's say this marital status, you need it more than one in your HTML page. This value, just like we are using this property to hide and show this. Let's say in your page, you need it one or two more time. So again, you will be writing this code. Now that's get repeated. Getting it or not?
Yes, we get it.
Yes,
See, consider this condition. If it is married, you are currently showing and hiding this thing. Let's say one more two things are somewhere is there where again you are going to need it. Like if this marital status is married, you need to do something. Same thing again you will read it over there. That is your code repetition. This reading the particular control value. This will get repeated one more time,
yes,
right? Let's say you have one more control for divorce date. If it is divorce, you need to capture the divorce date, right? So again, you will read like this. So your code will get repeated. So instead of that, we create a get method. Okay. Now, how do we create a get method? So get, okay, it's like a property, but it will act as a function. Okay, and here read control, and here we need the control name string return this dot employee form. Why it is giving error? Okay, sorry. Instead of having it over here, this dot employee form dot. Okay. Now one more thing I'm telling over here. See, reactive form again, one or two more session we are going because there are so many things. First is to read the particular control from your reactive form. What you can do? Control square bracket your control name. That is marital status, like this. Okay. This is one way. This will get you the control name, means whole control value. Then in the HTML you will use dot value, or here also you can return the dot value. This is one way to read marital status or get marital status, we can say. This is one function to read the marital status. Now this you can use it over here directly. Okay. Let's test it also. See, it's working fine. Okay. This is one way to do it. Another way is get status. Instead of writing control and then control name, you have directly get a method. And here you can pass your control name. Understood? Now it will ask us to check the null check. Okay. Because this can be null, it is saying.
Status spelling.
Huh?
Get spelling. Function spelling. Get.
Yeah, that I'm just explaining. Get state. Now here we have to add a null check over here like this. Okay. See, there are two ways to read a control value or select a particular control also. Either a object way like this, or by using get method also. You can pass the control name to the get method. There are two ways to do this. Let's call this function over here. See, it's working the same. Understood? So what you return over here, that we have put it over here. Now this is reusable. Wherever you need the control value of marital status, you will call this function. Understood? This is your get property. It looks like as a method, but see, we are not executing that. So it will act as a property. Understood?
Yes.
Okay. So see, in reactive form, we have so many things. So you can't imagine every time something new will come. Means we have limited things, but the way how we use those things, instead of reading this, instead of reading the value like this, if you don't know this, what you could have written, you could have subscribed like this. You could have stored the value in a different variable, and that variable you would have put it over there, like Likita said, the first solution. You could have created a variable, you could have subscribed a value of this marital status, and you would have stored that value into a different variable, and that variable you could have used it over here. Right? To do one thing, there are multiple ways. Okay. So this is the proper way to do it. Instead of doing that, we have first check the value over here. Then instead of checking the value over here, we have created a get method. Understood?
Yes.
Okay. Now, so if what do we say? Employee is married, by default, if you see, spouse name is not required. Right? If employee says that he is a married, So we want to force him that to provide a spouse name. Means we have to add a dynamic validation. By default, spouse name is not required. But if you employee said that he is a married man, then we need to ask the spouse name. Then this field become mandatory. Okay. So now we have to add the dynamic validation. Okay. Now how you will add the dynamic validation? On change of this drop down, if the value is married, then we need to add a dynamic value. We need to add a
Let
required
them
validation for
understand.
the spouse name. So again, you will write a value changes. Okay. So just like this over here for the married, and here if the married got changed, right? Status we will get it over here. Data type will be string. What do we need to do? We need to add a validation to this spouse name field. So your this dot employee form dot get your control name. Control name is spouse dot add validators. Okay. What validator you want to add? Required only singles. You can directly pass it. If it's multiple, you can pass the array. Okay. So this will add a validation to this particular control. But after whenever you add a validation or remove the validation, you need to update the form validity. So this dot employee form dot update value and validity like this. So this will actually update your HTML form also, because reactive form is not doesn't support two-way binding. So that's why we have to do this.
We have to check this also. It's a married.
Oh, sorry, I forgot that. We have to check the status. Na? If the status is married, then only we need to add it.
I think we also need else part.
Yeah,
to
else
remove
part
the
also
value.
needed, because in else we need to remove the validation also, right? So this will go over here, and in else we need to remove it. Just like add validator, we have remove validators.
And employee form we can put outside.
Yeah, outside, because otherwise it will be 2 times. Okay, like this. So once the drop down change, we are adding the validation on the spouse name. If the status is married, if it is not married, we are removing it again. Understood? Clear?
Yes.
Okay. Now, where is the document verification? Something was there na, related to fresher. If it is a fresher, okay, that thing is something else. Where is the document type? Yeah, verification document number and verification document name. Where is that? Ah, okay. So we have verification document name and verification document number. We are registering an employee. Whenever employee gets registered to any company, we ask him for the documentation for identity. What type of different identities we have?
Aadhaar, PAN.
Right?
Aadhaar card,
Aadhaar,
PAN card.
PAN, passport. So many things
Voter
can be
ID.
there, na? Voter ID, right? So let's say if we show a drop down over here. Let's quickly show the drop down. Instead of text box, it will be a drop down, a static one. Let's say Aadhaar. Second one is PAN card. Okay. Now here we have a drop down. Okay, here we have drop down. If user select PAN card, here we have to add some different validation for document number. Think of it a validation. Required will be there.
Yes.
But
Yes.
pattern, if it's a PAN card, we have to add a pattern validation for PAN card. If it's a Aadhaar card, different pattern. Correct or no?
Yes.
So
Yes.
again,
Yes, sir.
same thing. Okay. So here document name, we will bind it over here, and here form controller name, document number. Now on the document number, we have to add the dynamic validation. If user select Aadhaar card, we have to add the Aadhaar card pattern, or if it's a PAN card, we have to add a PAN card. Okay. Now on change of this, we need to write the code. So again, just like this form changes, your document name type, on change of the name, you have to add a dynamic validation. So if your value is Aadhaar card, doc type string, if doc type is Aadhaar card, so here this dot employee form dot get our control name, verification doc type number dot add validators dot pattern. You have to provide your Aadhaar card pattern over here, or else we just have two verification. So Aadhaar card or other one. So here we have to specify PAN card validation. Okay. Now let's quickly get the PAN card validation. PAN card regex pattern. Okay, so this is my PAN card pattern. Okay, and I need Aadhaar card. This is for my Aadhaar card. Okay, understood? So once you change the document type based on what type you have selected, you are adding a dynamic validation for document number. Clear? Understood or no?
Yes.
Now this is hard coded, right? Where we should keep it?
Constant.
Right? As I said, now we should not hard code anything. Everything should, because let's say in employee component you are using this PAN card and Aadhaar card. Let's say you have some more component, and there also you are going to need this pattern. So again, this will get repeat. So instead of hard coding this, it should come from your constant file. Understanding the use of constant now?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So in validation constant, here you will create inside validation. Now pattern is nothing related to the validation, right? So you can put everything into your validation constant. So we will say regex PAN card, and your PAN card validation will go over there. This will go over here. And here Aadhaar card will go. Okay. Now over here, instead of this, put our constant name, validation constant dot regex dot pan card, validation constant dot regex dot Aadhaar card. Understood? Like this it should be. Clear?
Yes, yes.
Okay. So see, when you work on a project, so many things you have to do like this.
You have to update what you
Yeah, update validity also is there. Now see, this line is also getting repeated. What we can do for this?
info.
Hmm? This line is get
Constant again.
right. We can create a function and there we can call it update form validity. You know that solid principle we say in that solid principle one point is there that we should not repeat anything,
Yeah. Yeah,
right? As Angular developer also we have to face that question now. What is solid principle? I don't know what's the use of it. Yeah, obviously there is a use because if you know the concept, you might be using that concept also, but you don't know like that it comes in the solid principle. Okay, understood? What else we can uh, optimize over here? What else we can optimize over here? See this code and tell me what we can optimize over here,
This dot employee form dot get.
right? This is getting repeated again and again. This is also and this is also. So instead of accessing this two more time, you can create a constant over here and you can put it over there, correct? Let's do it over here, constant. What is this? Pause control. So this code, you will put it over there. What data type you need to provide?
The form control.
Form control. Okay, then you can use it over here. Clear? Okay, like this we do.
So
Again, there
reactive
are,
form and validation topic बहुत ज्यादा hard लगा.
बट सेम सेम ही था ना. यहाँ पे मैंने
हम्म.
रिक्वायर्ड डाला, यहाँ पे सिर्फ पैटर्न डाला, रिलेटेड ही था इसलिए मैंने बताया. यहाँ पे कुछ
हाँ.
और थोड़ी किया अपन ने, सिर्फ यहाँ पे वैलिडेशन कौन सा डाला, रिक्वायर्ड डाला, यहाँ पे मैंने पैटर्न भेजा दूसरा.
हम्म.
ओके, यहाँ पे तो अपन ने कुछ किया ही नहीं. किधर गया हाइड एंड शो? किधर? हाँ, हाइड एंड शो तो, हाइड एंड शो तो अपन ने एचटीएमएल में ही किया, राइट? एज अ सेड ना, सो मेनी थिंग्स आर देयर. Based on the form, we use so many things. Okay. Again, we can optimize this also, but like everyone wouldn't be getting it then. Okay. Understood? So today we have seen the constant also, to store the API call method also, environment folder, and in specific to reactive form, how do we read the control value and write a code over there? If control value change, how do we write it? So by using value changes. How do we add a dynamic validation? Okay. Fine. Let's connect tomorrow. I will be pushing this code. Make sure you go through it and try to implement the same in your practice project also. Okay. Fine all. Thank you.